Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew Peche. I'm an interiors photographer from South Orange County, California. And I wanted to make a couple videos here about how you can start a portfolio in real estate photography. So, this is a real, it's kind of a stumbling block that a lot of people come up against. It's hard because, if it was easy, everyone would have a portfolio, right? But it's not easy because you can't get access a lot of times, but I'm going to go over some of the ways that I kind of counteracted this myself. So we're just going to go into my actual files to explain it. All right, so we'll do that. We'll get in there in a minute. But the first thing I just want to note is, in general, you're trying to get started in real estate photography. I would say the number one rule is just to keep your eyes open, right? It might go without saying, but as you're driving around in your neighborhood or wherever, keep your eyes open for stuff that just looks great and would look good in your portfolio, right? Because if somebody's house just looks amazing, there's nothing stopping you from taking a picture of it. So we're going to get in there and talk a little bit more about that, but that's the number one rule. Just don't forget to have your eyes peeled all the time and be thinking, always be thinking as you're walking or talking to people, whatever, what would look great in my portfolio, okay? So that's the number one rule. But let's get into Bridge. And I actually have this folder that's filled with stuff that I kind of shot when I was starting. And I'm not going to talk about all these, but like, for example, this one was just a home just right by my dad's house, and I saw it. I know it's not the greatest. You might not think it's the greatest picture, but, this is what you got to be looking for. You got to be looking for stuff that you think might be good enough to go in your portfolio, right? So the first one I'll really go into is this. For example, the owner's name of this house was Tuzo, and it was just a friend of mine. And I knew his uncle had a very nice house. So my friend's uncle's name was Tuzo. I asked my friend, can I shoot your uncle's house? And sure enough, he said yes. So I went over there, and he was a little bit busy when I was over there. So I was just able to get access to the backyard. And again, these aren't the greatest photos, but I'm just kind of running you through ideas. I actually never even ended up using this in my portfolio because, he was busy out running errands while I was here, and I couldn't get in and open these blinds and stuff. So I wasn't happy with it. And that might be another lesson. You can get out there and do work like this. I spent a whole day on this. I drove an hour and a half to get here, or total an hour and a half there and back. And I didn't use it in my portfolio, so that may be a lesson in itself. You don't always have to, don't force yourself to use something that you're not really liking, okay? So, but this is just one idea that I have for you. You got a lot of friends out there. Don't be afraid to ask them for access to your extended family and friends' houses, okay? So that was one way I got. Here's another way that I felt worked good for me. So I happened to be at my mom's house, which is in Portland, Oregon, for Christmas. And we'll kind of talk about the timing of all this a little bit more. But why don't we get in here and see what I did. And I was literally just walking around Portland, okay? I don't know. I kind of was waiting for the sun to come out just right. And I had my tripod because I wanted to take these brackets. And again, I'm not saying these are home run images, okay? We might go through a few of them. But, I was out there trying is the point, okay? These ideas, you got to be trying and you got to be failing. I think the best way to learn something is to fail, okay? That sounds crazy, but everyone I know who's really good at stuff has failed a million times, all right? That's for sure just a fact. So I was just out there trying my best to get something that was portfolio worthy. None of these made it. Just walking around with my tripod. I don't see anything in here that actually made my portfolio, but it's tough. You got to get out there, and once you get these, you got to find a way to process them to kind of make them look portfolio worthy. And I'm not going to go all into that in this video, but these are just ways to kind of get out there and get started with your portfolio, okay? There might be a couple in here. I think I did use this particular home in my portfolio. But once again, and this one I definitely used for a while in my portfolio, this particular home. It's not that great, but I used it, so. But we'll talk about ways to kind of, maybe make you find a home. Like, let's say you just really like this home right here. We'll talk a little bit later about ways you can kind of make this a portfolio image. Like, I may have had to come back here at a different time, right? So we're going to go into that a little later, but I just wanted to kind of show you that technique where I'm just pretty much walking around, just that's it. Oh, and I wanted to mention, going back in there, that this particular timing wasn't very good. Like, it was Christmas and it would look so much better with all these this foliage blooming. I know, like, my mom told me, like, everyone's house just comes alive in the summer, like all these flowers blooming. My timing was bad, right? So that's maybe another thing you're gonna have to keep in mind. All right, so my timing was no good. So live and learn, right? That's the whole thing about making the mistakes. Okay, so, and this is gonna be much in the same vein. This is getting more down into Southern California now, and I'm just walking around. So let's see, others. Yeah, I think we want to go in here, others. So I'm just essentially just walking around, and these are beach homes, right? So I'm kind of, moving up in the world, you could say. These are beach homes now. These are probably $3, $4, $5 million homes. So I'm just feeling like I took a lot of frames of this, so I'll kind of skip through there. But I kind of want to talk about some of the things that I went through, some of the techniques. So I'm just walking along the beach here. These are, again, nice homes to go into a portfolio. One of the things I'll try and touch on later when I talk about how to improve these images is sometimes you want to get higher. Like, I feel like I was a little low here, couldn't do anything about it. It's kind of emphasizing this thing a lot. I would like to be about 4 or 5 feet higher to catch this image. Anyway, this wasn't an accident. This is my wife and assistant. This may be a technique. I don't know. It's up to you guys. You can kind of decide for yourself. But there's something I'll call the creep factor for you guys out there, right? Like, what I'm talking about, all us poor guys. Like, if you're a girl, this isn't going to apply as much. But if you're a guy walking around with a camera and a tripod, it just, like, you stand out so much. And it's just such an awkward thing in the world today. So I used to bring my wife, and I would, like, tell her, she hated it. But I'd tell her, stand here. And, there were people actually in these homes, like, and they would come out on their decks and stuff. And I would just say, act like I'm taking a picture of you. It sounds ridiculous, but it kind of works, And for sure, you don't look, even if they kind of knew what I was doing here, at least you don't look like a total creep, right? Like, so I would encourage you, when you do some of this stuff, it depends on the situation. Like, a lot of these houses, like the ones I did in Portland, they seem fine. Like, it didn't seem like it was a problem. But there were like people out on their decks, like I was saying, but I really wanted to take pictures of these houses. So you might want to ask your friend to come along, or your cousin, or your mom, or whoever. Just hopefully it's a girl, I think is better. And so anyway, that's a technique, I think. Keep that in mind, okay? Try not to go out by yourself. If you're a girl, I think it might be a little better, okay? So we'll go through here a little. Just check out a couple of these examples. I actually did end up using this particular home in my portfolio for a while, and I used this one as well. See, you can actually see there were people in some of these shots, and so again, that's why my wife ended up being there with me. Actually, I don't see him I think, let's see. Well, it doesn't matter. I won't get caught up on that. And I'm just walking down the beach. I got my tripod. And this is another one of those topics I want to come back to. So hopefully you can kind of burn this image into your memory, because I don't know if I can fumble my way back here later. But this, I feel, is really good timing to get into your portfolio. So, it's called golden hour. So the sun's just about to go down. the sky in the background is going to look pretty good for your exposure, and you're getting that nice warm light just scraping across. So this is stuff we'll talk about later, like how to improve. You find a good house, how do I improve the shot that I had? Because you're probably going to be there at like this horrible time, right? I mean, it's just like probably, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're just walking around. So it's maybe a little disjointed, the lesson, but I'm going to come back to this. So, but this isn't a good example of golden hour. I'd never use this because there's like this huge mound and stuff, but just keep this in mind, the lighting, like the way the sun is over my left shoulder. It's not right behind me. That wouldn't be as good. It's over way to the left, but behind me. That's always better. And I'm also getting this nice sky in the back because our exposure is going to be pretty good overall at this time of the day, right? All right, so I won't go through this whole, there's a lot. I mean, I literally took pictures of hundreds of houses. I really did. So I won't go through all of them, but you can just get an idea what I was doing here, okay? I'm going to go back out and we're going to look at, let's see, we'll check out a couple of these. Because this is maybe another idea you could go for. So this is actually still in my portfolio, which surprises even me a little. But the way I got to shoot this house is I just contacted people on, it was Airbnb, and you can use the other rental places too. Like, I forget the name of some of them, but the people put their houses on these websites to rent them out, right? Whatever those are called. I know Airbnb is one. I forget the names of the other ones I used. But I just did a filter. The first thing I did is I did a filter and I put like, $500 a night and up, like to the most expensive one they had, right? And like this one, I think it was literally like $600 or $700 a night. And I just sent them a message. I'm saying, look, I'm sorry. I'm probably not supposed to be. I didn't say, I would never say sorry, but I word it something like this. I'm a beginning photographer and I really like your property and I wanted to know if I could shoot it for you and I'll go ahead and give you the photos, and just make sure it's well worded and everything's spelled correctly. That's very important. If somebody's going to trust you with doing all this, you want to have a good presentation, right? And that's all they know about you, that little text you sent them, that little paragraph. So make sure all that's perfect, okay? So it's very important stuff. But I ended up getting really good responses by this. The people were very nice and they would respond back. A lot of them just said, no, thank you, I can't do that. But this couple allowed me to shoot their home, okay? So yeah. That's just how I did that. So that was on Airbnb, okay? So that's another technique right there. So we'll go back and I'm just going to go into this folder too and tell you this was the exact same thing. I got on Airbnb and I was really happy about, let's scroll through here. I really like the look of this house and kind of just these slats. I still, to this day, I really love this. It has kind of like a Japanese feel and I love it. I wish I could shoot this house again because I didn't know what I was doing back then. But I just asked her, can I come in? And she said yes. And it was great. So, I just wish I would have had I don't like this composition at all. But oh well, I'm going to forget. I'm not going to get caught up on that. All right. So let's go back out and get back out here. And I'm just going to talk about ways to make some of these photos. Like, let's say you're at the point where you've been walking around, you've been doing some of the stuff I was talking about, and you just don't like you just feel like you need to improve the images you've got. Like one way, like for example here, a better way would be to get higher here. I think getting a little bit higher would make a better image here because we're emphasizing like the deck more, and it's just emphasizing the house more the higher we get. We do want people to know that this is sand down here, definitely. So, and we want them to see this access to the sand and everything. But this is really if you were to get out your calculator, this is probably 20% of the photo right here. That's not good, okay? So we just want them to know that that's there. We really want to emphasize the house, okay? So getting higher, you can stand on the top of your car. I know you just make sure you can. I shouldn't give that advice because it's not good, but you can stand in the back of your truck. I'll say that, okay? But if you stand on the top of your car, make sure you stand like not very long, and don't stand right in the middle, right? You know what I'm saying? Like stand where on the joints where they're reinforced, so you can stand without denting the top of your car. But standing in the back of a truck is good. Ladders are good. Anything you can think of to get up higher, like maybe crawling up a little wall or something, like a little anything, like, if your house is over here, maybe you could get up on this rock. Anything that's going to get you up higher. You can also you can hold your tripod up and put it on the timer. It's kind of hard because you're not sure exactly what you're aiming at, but there are ways to correct it. But you can just hold your tripod up from the bottom. I've done that many times. I would have done it here, but there's not quite enough light at this point, so you can't really do it on these kind of twilight style images. But in the middle of the day, you can hold your tripod up. You can also get what's called a pole, like a painter's pole, and put a camera on top of that. There's many different techniques, and I'm not going to so much talk about all of it right now, but I think a good thing to keep in mind is try and get higher on a lot of these shots, because you're going to notice a lot of the shots you take, they would look a lot better getting up a little, okay? And another thing I'm going to say is go back. Once you've found like this great property, like let's say I love this. Let's just say I love this house. This isn't the greatest timing, all right? I'm looking at this right now. This is a little too late, all right? So you're going to have to go back here and maybe get higher, maybe do all the things you wanted. So go back, try and time it to where, every house is different, but maybe I needed to be back here 15 minutes earlier, okay? Or maybe I wanted to be back here when the sun was on it, whatever the case. But the point is, go back, okay? Maybe during that golden hour we were talking about, right? Where the sun is just scraping across. That's a great time, and you're going to be able to get everything in one frame at that golden hour, and it's going to be, the dynamic range isn't so great, okay? So in general, keep those few things in mind. You want to have the light behind you is a good thing. Light behind you is good, but not exactly directly behind you. I personally don't think that's good. You want it behind you, but to the left or to the right. And you can't always control that, but sometimes you can control your composition a little, like which side of the house. Like in this case, for example, I could have went either side, right? Because it's kind of a symmetrical house. This maybe wasn't even the best side because the staircase is over here. You want to show that, but I was maybe under pressure here. But the point is, a lot of times you can control your lighting by the symmetry of the house. So you'd be able to move to either side. All right, so just keep that in mind. You probably don't want the light directly behind you. Maybe over your left or right shoulder, at least, like 20 or 30 degrees over there, okay? And another good thing, let's go back into that other. I think there's better examples in here. Another good thing to keep your eye out for when you go back is, I think I actually have a couple, like when there's clouds out but the sun is out. I think that's a really nice time to shoot. And I think you see how this is kind of hard light right here, and I think it looks pretty cool. I like, it really brings up this area right here. But see, that's kind of soft. So that's kind of softer. Maybe the sun was behind a cloud, okay? So I tend to think when the sun goes behind a cloud, but still the sky is blue, that's like one of the best times. So you just might want to keep an eye out for these cloudy days when there's blue sky. I think that's a good time because you're getting a lot of different variations too. So you might like one more than the other. You know what I mean? So these days with clouds but blue sky are a really good day to try and get out there, okay? That is it. I am going to do another video right now, today probably. I don't know when it'll be up, but and it's going to be about interiors and how you can kind of start your portfolio off as well, okay? and it's going to be talking about a little bit different subject. Like, I think you kind of get the hang of it. All these things we talked about for the exteriors, like just getting inside any house you can for the interiors would be my advice. Any family or friend or whoever's house you can think of, get inside it and get some shots. But we're going to expand on that a little bit in the next lesson, and I'm going to tell you how I think you can turn like a living room of a $200,000 house into a living room that looks like it's from a $2 million house. Okay, literally. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about that in the next video. But I just wanted to mention here at the end that I am currently in production making a video course of how to get started in real estate photography. Okay, so it's hard to kind of know exactly when it'll be ready to go and everything, but I would encourage you to go ahead and drop by my YouTube channel. Let me just see if I can pull it up here. So my YouTube channel is just, it's going to be really easy to find me. Just type in my last name, Pece Photo. I think it'll come up. PECE Photo, and there I am. So you could just click on that and my videos will come up, and you can subscribe, and I'll give you updates on that new that would be the new course about how to get started in real estate photography. Okay, so when is that coming out and stuff? If you're subscribed, you'll have all the updates on that if that's something you're interested in. Okay, and lastly, I'll just go over here and show you on my website, pecephoto.com. there's a One Light tutorial tab, and if you're interested in here, it's a little bit more advanced, but maybe one day once you get to this point, we're talking about how to light interiors, and it's using Photoshop techniques, and it's more advanced stuff, but something you can check out, and maybe for the future when you getting more serious. All right, so thank you very much, and I will see you in that next video. All right, so that'll be a good one. I think that'll help you kind of get your confidence started. I think that's a good technique what we'll talk about, and I'll see you then. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.